Thank you very much for having us. My name is Michael. I'm responsible for our Asia Pacific business, and with me here my colleague Christy, who mainly takes care of the South Korean market for us. Solactive is a fast-growing German index provider, and we are active in all asset classes. Today we already calculate over 30,000 indices every day for investment banks, for asset managers and for asset owners, such as pension funds and sovereign wealth funds. One of the fastest growing areas for us is actually the ETF segment, and meanwhile we have already 700 ETFs that are tracking selective indices, and 50 of those are actually listed in Korea. So that means Korea is a very important market for us, so we also very much appreciate the opportunity to speak to Korea Economic Daily, one of the leading financial newspapers in Korea. With 700 ETFs, that actually ranks us number 5 globally when it comes to listed products linked to our indices. And just to give a couple of examples, so in the equity space, we focus on factor investing with high dividend features. We have a lot of sustainability related indices. We have a lot of core benchmarks, but also of course thematics such as AI, quantum computing, robotics, and we look forward to growing our business throughout all of Asia.
여기서 질문 드리고 싶은 게 이제 홍콩이 아시아 금융 허브로서 어떤 상징성을 가지고 있는지, 그리고 앞으로도 이 상승세가 계속 그려질 수 있을지, 지금 매수 적기인지 굉장히 궁금한 시점입니다.
Of course, Hong Kong remains one of the most important financial hubs in Asia. Like many international companies, we chose Hong Kong as our main base for operations throughout Asia Pacific, and there's a number of reasons for that. So, for example, in terms of location, physical location, Hong Kong is very conveniently located. That allows us to travel and visit our partners, our clients very frequently, and we actually believe this is of utmost importance, because only by being very close to our clients, we can really understand the challenges, the opportunities they are facing, we can understand the local markets better, we can understand regulations and also investor preferences. So that we believe is necessary in order to jointly with our clients develop the most suitable and innovative products for investors. Then of course you have China. So China is the second largest economy, and as such it is a vital and crucial market for every international business. Hong Kong as the gateway towards China remains ever more important, and we have been very bullish on China and how China is expanding capital markets and the investor base. So if you look into the last decades, China has lifted hundreds of millions of people out of poverty into the middle class, and that obviously is a very exciting prospect for, hundreds of millions of people becoming investors and in need of certain products. So absolutely, Hong Kong remains one of the most important financial hubs. Then to the topic of the US and China and the stock markets. So I think it's important to note that if you look into the last 5 years, the US stock market is up by 100%, while China is flat, even after the recent rally. So that's quite remarkable, because overall the Chinese growth is still solid. There have been some challenges, of course, structural issues, deflationary pressures and so on, with COVID dragging out for a very long time. But now we do see some breakthroughs in AI. We see a lot of government support. We see also a general recovery of investor sentiment towards China. So hopefully there is a lot of room for China to catch up versus the US markets, for example. On our side, we actually also see a big jump in demand for China-related investments, especially in the technology side. That does not mean that US stocks or US technology stocks will drop anytime soon. So we've seen still some very, very good results. NVIDIA last week reporting they have beaten estimates again. Yes, it was not as amazing as maybe some quarters in before for last week, but still very solid. Now, however, it has to be said that US big tech has been one of the most crowded trades for quite a while now. And therefore, some diversification away from that may also benefit Chinese stocks and Chinese tech.
말씀 주신 것처럼 뭐 AI 발전이나 뭐 중국 경기 부양책 등의 다양한 이유로 중국 증시를 굉장히 긍정적으로 전망해 주시고 계시는 것 같은데요. 또 이제 미국 주식이 또 떨어질 수 있는 그런 어떤 여력이 있는 거에 대비해서 중국 증시가 굉장히 견고하다고 말씀을 해주신 것 같습니다. 하지만 국내 투자자들이 한편으로는 지금 중국 증시가 너무 과열된 게 아닌가라는 우려도 있거든요.
Yeah, in terms of valuations, I think it's not a secret that Chinese stocks are still very significantly lower value than their US counterparts. So if you take BYD versus Tesla as an example, Tesla trades at 100 times forward earnings, and that's about 5 times as much as BYD. Now BYD, at the same time, meanwhile, has surpassed Tesla in total EV sales. Yeah, so they actually sell more cars than Tesla. If you look into other ratios like PEG, so which is the PE ratio over long-term growth, you come to a similar conclusion. Now, and even if you take Tesla out of the equation, because Tesla is an outlier, it is significantly high valued versus some other US big tech stocks, then you will still see that US big tech is more than double the valuation of their Chinese counterparts. Yeah, so that's also a sign for China still having a lot of room to catch up. And even on the broader market, so if you look into general equities, then there is almost 50% of higher valuations in US versus Chinese stocks. Yeah, so from that perspective, we believe even after the latest rally, that the Chinese stocks are still okay valued. Yeah, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see how the recent pickup in AI demand and more improvement in consumer sentiment, the government efforts to stimulate the economy, how that actually will translate into future earnings. Because let's face it, for the Magnificent Seven, their very strong stock market performance over the recent years was driven by very strong financial performance. So they actually really grew their earnings a lot. So if we can have Chinese tech stocks to continue on the recent trend, to also deliver solid financial results and find new growth areas, then I believe the current valuations are still very attractive compared to US. Now, maybe just one example, if you look into Xiaomi, so they have recently expanded, grown into a new business segment such as electric vehicles. And they've been very successful in that regard, and I believe that's a very good reason for the recent rally we have seen in the stock.
사실 이제 말씀 주신 그런 대내적인 경기 부양책도 있지만 뭐 트럼프와 이제 관계 어떤 국제적인 관계 속에서도 그럼에도 불구하고 홍콩 증시, 중국 증시가 지금 괜찮은 이유, 성장성이 견고하다고 보시는 어떤 대외적인 측면에서 좀 분석 부탁드리도록 하겠습니다.
Yes, I think in that context it's very important and vital to look at what the Chinese government is doing. So since last autumn they have announced and are rolling out a very broad measures to support the economy. Yeah, so number one, you have monetary policy easing, falling interest rates, but also significant capital injections into the financial system. So just last week, we saw the latest reports that the government intends to inject at least 400 billion yuan into several of its major lenders. Yeah, so, but it's not like that these banks are undercapitalized. They actually have solid balance sheets, but with these injections, their balance sheet become even stronger, which makes them better positioned to absorb any escalations or any potential shocks that are unforeseen. It also helps them to take on more risk, to lend more, and thereby stimulate the economy. So that's number one. Number two is the property market. So you have seen that the government is decreasing mortgage rates, down payment ratios. All of that is intended to encourage more property purchases. And of course, the real estate market has been very ingrained in Chinese culture. So if you look at the average household, the dominant portion of their wealth is still in real estate. Yeah? So any stress, as we have seen over the last few years in this sector, can have very severe consequences on the confidence of consumption and on investment. So further stabilizing this portion will hopefully also reverse that trend to some extent. Then number 3, we have fiscal measures. Yeah? So we've seen for example, consumer goods trade-in programs that have started last year. So the government support last year was 150 billion yuan, and expectations are that this year this will at least double. Number 4 is also AI, renewed interest in AI. So with these breakthroughs like DeepSeek and some others, we expect a lot of more products, applications to be developed within the AI space. So that might be very good for the technology sector. At the same time, there will be trickle-down effects to other sectors as well. So in the end, these AI applications will be adopted by the broader economy, and therefore many other businesses outside of the technology space can also enhance the efficiencies of their operations. They can find new business segments to expand into. So I believe overall there is good reasons to be more optimistic about China than maybe in the last couple of years. We have still a lot of challenges, a lot of uncertainties, geopolitical tensions, deflationary pressures. Obviously with tariffs, nobody knows how exactly this will play out. But I think in this context, the NPC in early March will be very interesting to watch closely, because I believe that the Chinese government is well prepared for a variety of outcomes that might come from political volatility.
네, 이어서 진수연 이사님과 인터뷰 이어가도록 하겠습니다. 알리바바의 마윈을 불러들인 게 굉장히 특징적이라고 전 세계가 주목을 하고 있습니다. 현재에서 보았을 때 이런 상황이 무엇을 의미하는지, 예를 들어 국가적인 정책의 기조가 변화가 있는지, 그리고 국내 투자자분들이 괄목해야 할 시사점이 뭐가 있을지 궁금합니다.
네. 일단 국가 방향이랑 계획 주도로 움직이는 국가인 중국에서 AI 그리고 빅테크의 수장을 한자리에 불러 모았다는 것은 일단 미국과의 무역 전쟁 그리고 기술 패권을 앞두고 민간 협력의 의지를 다지는 자리였다고 평가되고 있습니다. 특히 이번 기업 자담회에서는 6년 만에 처음으로 시 주석이 직접 주재를 한 것으로 알려졌는데요. 참석자는 말씀하신 것처럼 알리바바 마윈 회장도 있었지만 화웨이, BYD, 딥시크 그리고 다양한 테크계의 수장도 다 모은 것으로 알고 있습니다. 또한 그동안 시 주석은 공동부유, 즉 소득의 재분배를 강조해 왔는데요. 이번 기업 자담회에서는 선부, 즉 부를 먼저 창출하는 것이 재분배 전에 이루어진다는 점을 강조하면서 이제 중국 정부 당국이 다시 기업 친화적인 태도로 바뀐 것이 아니냐라는 평가가 있었습니다. 다만 이런 중국 당국의 의지가 과연 정책과 그리고 실질적인 기업 지원에 어떻게 반영이 될지는 한번 지켜봐야 될 것 같습니다.
미래에 주목해보면 좋을 만한 섹터가 뭐가 있을지. 왜냐하면 국내 투자자분들은 이제 홍콩 항생테크 분야에 되게 관심이 많으신데, 뭐 테크주 포함해서 또 다르게 주목해볼 만한 섹터가 또 뭐가 있을지 좀 궁금하거든요.
네. 사실 굉장히 좋은 질문 주셨어요. 왜냐하면 2025년은 중국에 관심이 있는 투자자라면 특히 주목을 해야 되는 해라고 생각이 듭니다. 중국은 5년마다 중국 경제개발 5개년 계획을 발표하고 있는데요. 이번 2025년이 2021년에 시작했던 제14차 경제개발 5개년 계획을 마무리 짓고 2026년부터 시작할 제15차 경제개발 5개년 계획을 수립하는 연도이기 때문입니다. 앞에서 말씀드린 것처럼 중국은 정부의 방향성이 굉장히 중요한 시장이라고 말씀드렸는데요. 지금 현재 중국은 신품질 생산력이라는 슬로건 아래 테크 그리고 AI 사업을 전반적으로 강력하게 지지를 하고 있습니다. 또 중국은 2030년까지 AI를 선도하는 국가가 되자는 목표 아래 2017년부터 국가 차원에서 R&D 그리고 인력 양성에까지 폭넓은 지원을 하고 있습니다. 따라서 저희는 AI, 바이오, 로봇, 우주, 양자 등의 테크 산업에 주목을 하는 것이 좋을 것이라고 생각이 드는데요. 실제로 딥시크 같은 경우에는 이번에 BYD에 신의 눈이라는 자율주행 프로그램을 탑재할 예정이고요. 그리고 레드테크의 큰형님격인 알리바바 같은 경우는 클라우딩 그리고 AI 인프라 사업에까지 적극적인 투자 계획을 발표했습니다. 따라서 AI뿐만이 아니라 그 AI 플러스 주변 산업에까지 낙수 효과가 있을 것으로 예상이 되고 있습니다.
네, 벌써 마지막 질문 드리게 될 것 같은데요. 국내 개인 투자자분들이 해외 주식에 직접적으로 투자하기 참 어려운 상황이에요. 특히 중국 증시 뭔가 먼 나라, 이웃 나라 같은 느낌으로
맞아요.
투자하기 참 어려운, 어디에 어떻게 투자해야 될지 참 막막한 상황인데, 때문에 보통은 지수를 추종하거나 어떤 섹터 ETF에 대한 투자가 활발하게 이루어지고 있는 것 같습니다. 이런 상황 속에서 주목해보면 좋을 만한 지수가 뭐가 있을지 소개해 주시면 감사드리겠습니다.
네, 일단 중국 테크에 중점을 둔 Solactive China Technology Index를 말씀드리고 싶고요. 그리고 앞서 말씀드린 Solactive Bio China Biotech Index도 한번 주목해보는 게 좋을 것 같습니다. 또한 Solactive China Cloud Computing Index, 그리고 이미 세계적으로 선도하는 산업이기도 하고 국내 투자자에게도 잘 알려진 Solactive China 전기차, Solactive China Electric Vehicle and Battery도 이번에 한번 말씀을 드리고 싶습니다. 다만 작년에는 미국 시장의 퍼포먼스가 굉장히 좋았어서 AI, 테크 그리고 반도체 관련해서 다양한 상품이 나왔는데요. 올해에는 이런 중국의 증시를 타고 그리고 이런 발전하는 테크 산업을 반영할 수 있는 다양한 상품이 또 출시되지 않을까 기대해 봅니다.
네, 감사합니다. 지금까지 솔랙티브의 진수연 이사님이었습니다.
네, 감사합니다.
네.